Alright, well, I'm just going for a walk. That's a bit sus. I even looked.
Imagine discovering a GoPro deep in the woods, left behind with no one around. A group of explorers came across such a camera and, driven by curiosity, decided to check its footage. What they saw immediately filled them with unease. The video revealed a strange, humanoid figure silently watching the riders as they moved through the forest. The moment the explorers noticed the being on screen, the footage abruptly cut off. Despite their attempts to identify the riders, their identities remained a mystery. Some speculate the riders might have been tourists, but given the terrifying nature of the experience, it seems unlikely they would have stayed silent. The discovery leaves one with haunting questions. Was this a glimpse into the final moments of those who had filmed it? Or was it a warning that the forest itself hides more than anyone can understand? The GoPro captured something inexplicable. What would you do if you came across it alone? A Reddit user had been sitting on a large rock in the forest, enjoying the quiet as the evening shadows stretched between the trees. Time slipped away unnoticed, and the fading sunlight cast long, eerie shapes across the forest floor. His sister's uneasy voice eventually pulled him back toward the path, sensing the darkness settling in. When he finally rose to leave, his heart skipped a beat. In front of him, standing just a few feet away, was a pale, humanoid figure, ghostly and still, its gaze fixed directly on him.
Alright, well, I'm just going for a walk. That's a bit sus. I even looked that way and there was nothing there earlier. I don't know what it is, but it is what it is. I'm going home now. Bye-bye.
Moments earlier, he had looked in that direction and seen nothing at all. Now, the figure remained, silent and watching, as if it had appeared from nowhere. Fear surged through him, and without a second thought, he turned and ran through the forest, desperate to reach the safety of home. No one knows what the figure was, or whether it still lingers in those woods. The memory of that evening has stayed with him, a quiet reminder that some presences are unseen until the very last moment. If something like that appeared silently in the shadows as night fell, would you dare to stay? This trail camera had been placed deep in a remote forest to capture passing wildlife during the night. It had already recorded several ordinary moments, including a clear image of a deer moving calmly through the frame. The setting was quiet, undisturbed, with only the faint glow of infrared light illuminating the narrow path. For days, nothing unusual appeared, and the camera continued to operate without interruption. Then, in one of the later recordings, something unexpected entered the frame. Behind the deer, a shadowy figure briefly became visible, its form unclear, its presence sudden, and its movement almost impossible to track. Within a moment, it seemed to vanish, leaving no clear direction or trace. What made the footage unsettling was not just the appearance of the figure, but the deer's reaction. It froze, its posture tightening, and then it quickly moved away from the area, as if responding to something unseen, but very real. After that moment, the camera captured nothing further out of the ordinary. No additional movement, no return of the figure, only the empty trail under the quiet night sky. The footage ends without explanation, leaving behind a single brief encounter that raises more questions than answers. If even a wild animal senses something it cannot see clearly, would you trust your own instincts if you were standing there in the dark? This image was shared on Reddit by a user named friendly_Progus, 964, who said it was taken by his son and daughter while they were camping beside a forest during the daytime. At first, everything in the photo appeared completely ordinary, just two children standing near the edge of the trees, enjoying a quiet moment outdoors. The lighting was natural, the scene calm, and nothing immediately stood out as unusual. It was only later, when they reviewed the image on a PC, that something began to feel wrong. What had seemed like a simple memory suddenly took on a different tone. Looking more closely at the background, a dark, shadowy figure could be seen partially hidden among the trees. It was not fully clear, but two leg-like shapes appeared to be visible, positioned in a way that suggested it was standing upright. What made the image unsettling was the placement of the figure. It seemed aligned behind the children, as if observing them quietly from a distance. There was no blur or distortion that would easily explain it, and the stillness of the form gave it a strange, deliberate presence. The idea that something could have been there, unnoticed at the time, left the family deeply uneasy. After seeing the image on the computer, the children were frightened, and the location where the photo was taken was quickly marked to be avoided in the future. Other Reddit users began to speculate, offering different interpretations, but no clear answer emerged. The image remains unchanged, a quiet moment captured with something unexpected hidden just behind it. If you found something like that in your own family photo, would you ever feel comfortable going back to that place? Before we go any further, I'd like to ask you for a quick favor. If you are enjoying the video so far, please give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time. We're getting closer to 30,000 subscribers, and once we hit that milestone, a few lucky subscribers will receive a special surprise. Now let's go back to the video. This series of images was recently shared on Reddit by a user known as WhenAwakened420, who claimed they were taken near his isolated cabin deep within a forested area. The photos were captured over several days, mostly during the late afternoon as daylight began to fade. At first glance, the surroundings appeared quiet and undisturbed, just a small wooden cabin, dense trees, and the stillness of an empty landscape. Nothing in the setting immediately suggested danger or anything out of place. But as he reviewed the images more carefully, a pattern began to emerge. In multiple frames, a dark, shadow-like figure could be seen at varying distances from the cabin. It never appeared fully clear, yet its shape remained consistent enough to suggest it was not Sluchini distortion or light. Sometimes it stood partially behind trees, other times closer to the open clearing, as if slowly changing position over time. What made it especially unsettling was the sense of awareness it seemed to carry, as though it was not simply passing through, but observing the cabin itself. There was no visible movement captured between frames, yet its position shifted in ways that felt quiet and deliberate. The user later explained that this presence had been noticed for some time, lingering just beyond the edges of his property, without ever coming into full view. Despite checking the area in person, he found no tracks, no signs of intrusion, and nothing that could explain what the camera had recorded. The images remain unexplained, leaving behind a quiet unease tied to the idea of something watching from just beyond sight. If something stayed near your home, unseen but always close, would you feel safe knowing it might still be there? A Reddit user recently shared two unusual images captured by a motion-activated camera set up in the backyard of their rural home in Florida. The camera was normally used to record local wildlife, capturing deer, raccoons, and the occasional fox moving through the yard. But on this particular night, the camera recorded something entirely different. At first glance, the images seemed ordinary: a quiet backyard, a dimly lit carport, and the familiar outline of the house. But closer inspection revealed something unsettling. In the first photo, the user is seen walking toward their car under the glow of the carport light. At the same time, a large, unfamiliar figure appears beside them. The shape is dark and indistinct, with proportions that do not match any known animal in the area. The user insists they were completely alone at the time, and there was no one else in the yard. The figure seems to linger in place for the few seconds the camera captures, standing silently, almost deliberately. By the second photo, taken moments later, the figure has vanished completely. Even the strange glow above its head, something the user swears should not have been there, is gone. To this day, the user has no explanation for what was captured, and it is unlikely they ever will. The images leave only a quiet unease, a reminder that sometimes something may be present, even when it is unseen. If you saw a shadow like that beside you in your own backyard, would you turn back or keep walking forward? A group of friends hiking in Indonesia reached a scenic waterfall and decided to take some photos to capture the moment. The surroundings were peaceful, the water sparkling in the sunlight, and laughter echoed lightly through the rocks. Everything seemed perfectly normal as they posed for the camera, unaware of anything unusual. At first glance, the photos appeared like any typical hiking memory, but one image drew their attention immediately. In the background of that photo, a shadowy figure appeared, partially hidden and dressed in dark clothing, standing silently behind the group. It did not resemble any of their friends or other hikers, and it seemed to be deliberately remaining out of reach of the main focus. The friends were certain that, at the time, no one else was nearby, no passerby, no local guide, no one at all. The presence was fleeting in the image, yet its stillness and the way it seemed to watch them created an unsettling feeling. To this day, they remain unsure what the figure was or whether it posed any real threat. They left the area quickly after noticing it, and none of them returned to that specific spot near the waterfall. The memory lingers, leaving an uneasy question behind. If you saw something like that quietly observing you in an otherwise safe place, would you feel truly safe staying there? A team of investigators ventured into the haunted forests of Anglesey on the northern coast of Wales to document strange occurrences reported in the area. The forest was dense, the trees casting long shadows under a gray sky, and the atmosphere carried a quiet tension. As they reviewed the footage later, something unusual caught their attention at the top right corner of the video. A dark, shadowy figure appeared briefly. Its shape was indistinct, moving just enough to suggest presence without revealing any clear form. When the same section of the video was replayed, the figure was gone, completely vanished, leaving no trace or explanation. The investigators had spent considerable time in the area and insisted that no one else was present nearby during the recording. The fleeting appearance and sudden disappearance of the shadowy figure left them puzzled and uneasy. There were no tracks, no signs of intrusion, and nothing to indicate what had been caught on camera. To this day, the figure remains unidentified, its nature a mystery that defies explanation. The video ends abruptly, offering only a fleeting glimpse of something unknown lurking in the forest. If something like that silently appeared and vanished before your eyes, would you ever feel entirely safe walking through those woods again? In 2019, Amy and her family went on a camping trip, capturing several photos to remember the day. The first image appeared entirely ordinary. 4 women standing together, smiling and posing for the camera. The forest around them looked peaceful, the sunlight filtering gently through the trees, and nothing in the frame suggested anything unusual. However, in the second photo, something strange appeared. A translucent, dark figure was visible in front of the group. Its form was unclear, almost formless, and through it, one could even see the leg of one of the women. The presence was fleeting yet unmistakable, casting a quiet unease over the otherwise serene image. By the next photo, taken only moments later, the figure had vanished completely. Amy later mentioned that her aunt had a Rottweiler named Brutus, who had passed away several years prior. The family speculated that perhaps it was Brutus, coming for one last visit to see them. The image remains a fleeting, ghostly memory. If a familiar presence appeared silently before your eyes, would you recognize it, or turn away without knowing? An officer was called to a newly built house, responding to a routine check. When he arrived, the homeowners were away, leaving the house empty. He carefully looked around several times, moving through each room, checking the hallways, and confirming every corner. After a thorough search, he was certain that no one else was inside. Yet something about the place felt off. Returning to his car, he glanced back at the house and froze. A figure was standing just inside, perfectly still. At first, he questioned his own eyes, but the shape did not disappear. It was undeniably there. Seconds later, it vanished, leaving the lot empty once more. Moments passed, and then it appeared again, as if it had never left. He tried to make sense of it. Was it an illusion, a ghost, or someone hiding in the house? Nothing explained the feeling in the pit of his stomach. Even after leaving the property, the unsettling memory lingered, a quiet reminder that sometimes the line between reality and the unknown blurs. If you saw something like that watching you, would you trust your eyes or turn away? Reddit user BiffMac recently shared a photograph taken by his mother during a visit to St. Mary's Abbey in York, UK. At first glance, the image appears completely ordinary, the ruins bathed in soft afternoon light. But looking closer, something unusual becomes apparent. A cloaked figure standing silently in front of a tree, its face hidden in shadow. His mother hadn't noticed anything strange at the time of the visit. Only after sharing the photo online did locals react, many convinced that the image captured something far from ordinary. Some believe it to be the infamous Black Abbot, a ghost long rumored to haunt the abbey's grounds. The figure stands motionless, almost blending into the shadowy backdrop, leaving viewers questioning what is real and what might be mere imagination. Even today, no one can explain the photograph completely. Was it a trick of light, a passing stranger, or something far more spectral? User Your Friend 16 recently uploaded a 15-second clip titled, "This Video I Took at a Lake," captured during a peaceful hike. The video begins with the gentle sounds of water lapping against the shore, birds chirping softly, and leaves rustling in the wind. For the first few seconds, the scene is tranquil, almost meditative, as if nothing could disturb the calm. Then, suddenly, a piercing scream shatters the quiet. It is brief but chilling, echoing across the lake and through the trees. At first, one might assume it is a local animal, but there is an unsettling human quality to the sound, as if someone or something is calling out in fear or warning. The abruptness leaves viewers tense, unsure of what they are witnessing. The clip ends as quickly as it began, by leaving more questions than answers. Who or what emitted that scream, and why was it so close to where the hiker stood? Did you feel it too, the presence just beyond the sound, silently watching?
While hiking through a remote wooded area in Mexico, a man came across something he never expected to find.
Somehow, you're not surprised. You always knew this world wasn't the only one. You always had a faint premonition that there was an expanded reality hidden right around the corner, a doorway left open to another world.
Tucked seamlessly into the landscape was a massive structure designed to blend in perfectly with its surroundings. From the outside, it looked like nothing more than a small mountain, but inside, it was hollow. The interior was reinforced with thick wooden frames and packed with carefully stacked wooden blocks, suggesting deliberate construction rather than a natural formation. Later, the man shared what he had been told about the discovery. According to local accounts, the structure was allegedly built in 1978, uncovered in 1984, and possibly connected to secret cult activity or covert operations. Yet none of these claims has ever been proven. There are no official records, no confirmed explanations, and no evidence tying the structure to any known group or organization. All that's truly known is this. Someone went to great lengths to hide it, and to this day it's real. Purpose remains a mystery. It started as a carefree night outdoors with friends, the kind filled with laughter and spontaneous ideas. At one point, they decided to take a few timed photos using a phone tucked inside a mailbox, positioning themselves across the street near a quiet cornfield. 2 photos were snapped just seconds apart. At first glance, everything seemed normal, but later, while scrolling through the images, they noticed something that made their stomachs drop. The first photo looked exactly as expected. The second, however, showed something standing behind one of them, something that hadn't been there moments earlier. No one remembered seeing anything at the time. There were no sounds, no movement, no reason to feel uneasy. To get a clearer look, the second image was adjusted using simple brightness and contrast edits, making the shape even harder to ignore. To this day, the group can't explain what appeared in that photo. Was it something paranormal silently, watching from the darkness? Or could it have been nothing more than an insect or object passing dangerously close to the lens at just the wrong moment? They eventually shared the images online, hoping someone, anyone, could help explain what they captured that night. While hiking through the Appalachian mountains, a group of men stumbled upon something that instantly set their nerves on edge. Hidden beneath a layer of fallen leaves was a narrow hole in the ground, easy to miss, yet wide enough for a human leg to slip straight through. Uneasy but curious, they decided to see how deep it went. They lowered a long stick into the darkness and watched as it kept falling and falling until it vanished completely. It was a haunting reminder that in dense forests like these, deadly hazards can lie perfectly concealed, and a single careless step could send someone into a place where they'd never be found. While hiking through a snow-covered mountain range, a woman suddenly witnessed a scene she could hardly believe. High above her, a lone skier appeared at the very peak, dropping in and slicing through the steep face below. What started as an incredible sight quickly turned heart-stopping. One wrong move at that height could have meant disaster, and the tension of the moment was impossible to ignore. Thankfully, it was later confirmed that the skier made it down safely. Descending a line this dangerous demands absolute precision, years of experience and elite-level skill, something only the most highly trained athletes would ever dare to attempt. While hiking through icy mountain trails, a group came face to face with a yogi, something they knew was possible, yet still astonishing. He sat in deep meditation, unmoved by the freezing wind or the snow piling on his body, completely absorbed and still. Some yogis train in extreme conditions to strengthen discipline, resilience, and mastery over physical discomfort, aiming for profound inner calm, regardless of their surroundings. But it raises one question: how safe is this practice really? While hiking in a remote part of southern Utah, a woman snapped a photo of her husband as he photographed the scenery. The image looked normal at first, but later, something strange stood out. A glowing, unfamiliar shape appeared in the frame, even though no light like that was visible at the time. Confused, they shared the photo online, wondering if it could be something mysterious. After closer inspection, Reddit users quickly offered a grounded explanation: a lens flare caused by strong sunlight reflecting inside the phone's camera. Breathtaking. These hikers chose one of the most terrifying trails imaginable. They climbed along a cliffside where a single misstep meant dropping thousands of feet into nothingness. The view was breathtaking, endless sky, sweeping mountains, but the danger was real. Every step they took clung to the edge of disaster: the wind, the height, the narrow path. Everything about it screamed, "Don't do this. Nature can be stunning, but no scenery is worth gambling with your life." So here's the real question. Would you ever dare to hike a place where one slip could be your last? In 2017, Alex Honnold achieved one of the most daring feats in climbing history by free soloing El Capitan in Yosemite National Park. With no ropes, no harness, and zero protection, he climbed the 2,900-foot granite wall via the freerider route in under 4 hours. The ascent demanded flawless precision, strength, and nerves of steel, and became the first recorded free solo of El Capitan, widely regarded as one of the greatest athletic achievements of all time. One night, alone in his cabin deep in the Appalachian Mountains, a man had a chilling experience. Outside his window, a full pack of wolves stood in the snow, howling into the darkness. But something felt off. The wolves didn't sound aggressive, they sounded afraid, as if reacting to something unseen nearby.
Yo, they over there wildin'. Crazy.
Nothing ever stepped out of the shadows and the night passed quietly. Still, one question lingers. What was lurking in the Appalachian Mountains that night? A couple chose a cave known as the Throat of the Dead for their wedding photos. When they reviewed the pictures later, they noticed a figure standing in the background, someone who hadn't been there. Digging deeper, they learned the cave's dark history.
Oh my God, what is that? Oh my God, what is that?
In the 19th century, a man was found dead inside, seated against the wall, fingernails torn, eyes locked wide in terror. He hadn't tried to escape. Locals called him the Watcher. Legend says anyone who speaks a vow of love inside the cave will see him, silent, unmoving. He appears in only one frame, never before or after. Those who notice him are chosen. Some disappear. Sometimes it's the photographer, sometimes the newlyweds. The couple didn't know the legend that day, but a year later, the nightmares began, and life was never the same after. That photo. Someone was taking a casual stroll through the woods near their home when they came across something unsettling, a strange little structure tucked between the trees. Stepping closer, they realized exactly what they were looking at, a witch's hut. They snapped a few photos and posted them online, and the comments exploded with warnings. Don't touch anything. Don't take anything. But the damage was already done. Something inside had already been picked up. Disturbing a place like that is never a good idea, yet the uploader didn't seem bothered. They were only curious about who set everything up, and what their intentions might have been. In 2009, a daring expedition set out to explore Mount Etna, Europe's largest and most active stratovolcano on Sicily's eastern coast. As the group hiked closer to an active zone, glowing lava began erupting just meters away. Without warning, molten rock rained down and struck dangerously close. Instinct took over. They sprinted for safety, escaping just in time. Remarkably, no one was hurt. But the question remains, would you ever dare to get this close to a living volcano? A couple hiking through a remote forest, somewhere they'd never been before, noticed something unusual in the distance. They began recording as a large dark figure moved effortlessly through thick vegetation. At first, they assumed it was a bear, but after a few tense seconds, fear took over. They turned and ran. The footage cuts off abruptly. What happened next is unknown. That uncertainty has led many to question the authenticity of the recording, but the truth is we may never find out. A hiker spotted something she'd never seen before, a plane's exhaust trail cutting across the sky, then suddenly stopping mid-air. From that exact point, a long, dark shadow stretched sharply across the mountains below, perfectly straight, like it had been drawn with a ruler.
Okay, my whole life I've never seen this. This is a shadow on the mountain from the exhaust from that plane. That's insane.
How could an exhaust trail cast such a precise shadow, and why did it end so abruptly? Some say it's just a trick of sunlight and angles. Others aren't so sure. So, what are we really seeing here? This video was shared by a Reddit user, and it's one wild moment you wouldn't want to experience yourself. While driving through the mountain trails in their van, they suddenly spotted a wild yak charging straight toward them with full force. The massive animal kept coming, pounding the ground with every step, and it didn't look like it was planning to stop anytime soon. You could feel the tension as the van kept moving forward, the driver trying to stay calm while the yak refused to back down. Imagine being trapped in a free mountain ruin with nowhere to run to, and a huge wild animal coming right at you. What would you do at that moment? Would you keep driving forward or try to escape in reverse? That was definitely one terrifying encounter they won't forget anytime soon.
This terrifying moment happened to a hiker who decided to camp when night fell, planning to rest and continue his journey in the morning. He was lying inside his tent, trying to relax, when he suddenly heard strange sounds, outside slow footsteps circling dangerously close. His heart started racing. His breathing grew heavy. Fighting panic, he grabbed his flashlight and slowly pointed it toward the tent opening. That's when he saw it.
Okay, they're right outside. Just go away.
A white wolf standing right outside, staring straight into the light. Frozen in fear, all he could do was pray it would leave. But instead of backing away, the wolf suddenly charged, slamming into the tent, trying to bite through the fabric. Now imagine being trapped inside, with nowhere to run, and nothing but thin fabric between you and a wild animal. What would you do in that moment? Fight back, scream, heal, or freeze completely? This disturbing moment happened one afternoon deep in the forest. As daylight faded, a hiker noticed a massive, tall tree and decided to build a small treehouse to rest for the night. It seemed like a safe idea until darkness fully settled in. Later that night, he was jolted awake by a creepy crying sound echoing through the forest.
Hey, Kaya! Kaya!
Fear hit instantly. His heart raced as he grabbed his flashlight and tried to trace where the sound was coming from. That's when he saw it. A strange creature crying at the base of the tree. He couldn't even describe what it looked like. But the moment the light touched it, everything changed. The creature stopped crying and started laughing. A sharp, unnatural laugh, like something out of a nightmare. Frozen with fear, he didn't know what to do next. Now imagine being in that tree. Would you climb down into the darkness or stay up there until morning, hoping whatever it was eventually leaves? This chilling moment happened to a hiker who was enjoying his trip until night fell. He was still walking alone in the dark when he heard a creepy sound coming from far away. At first, he ignored it and kept moving, thinking it was nothing. Then he saw her standing ahead on the trail was a figure dressed in white. Her eyes were completely white, her hair long and black, hanging over her face. The second he realized what he was looking at, fear rushed through his body. The figure, whatever it was, began slowly walking toward him, step by step, without making a sound. His mind raced as panic set in. Every instinct told him something was very wrong. Now imagine being alone on a dark trail with that coming toward you. Would you stay frozen and wait to see what happens next? Or would you turn around and run as fast as you possibly could? This disturbing moment happened to a group of hikers who were chatting and enjoying themselves as they walked the trail. Night slowly fell, and the forest grew quiet, a little too quiet. Then suddenly, they heard a sound that stopped everyone in their tracks. Curious and confused, they decided to move toward where it was coming from. As they got closer, their blood ran cold. At the top of a tree was a female ghost, screaming, but the way she moved was completely wrong. Twisting, jerking, circling the tree in a strange, unnatural way. No one spoke. No one moved. They were frozen in fear because they had never seen anything like it before. The forest felt heavy and silent. Then she faded away. Now imagine being there with them. Would you stay and try to understand what you're seeing, or would pure instinct take over and make you run as fast as possible? This frightening moment happened during an afternoon hike when a woman was walking alone through the forest. Everything felt normal until she suddenly heard heavy sounds coming toward her trail. Her instincts kicked in immediately, and she quietly hid between some bushes, barely daring to breathe. What she saw next made her heart stop. 3 huge bears came into view, playing and moving right along the path she had just been on. They were massive, close, and completely unaware of her presence. Fear took over her entire body. She stayed perfectly still, knowing that even the smallest sound could alert them. Seconds felt like forever as the bear slowly passed by and disappeared into the forest. Now, imagine being in her place, hidden just a few steps away from danger. Would you stay calm and frozen until they're gone? Or let panic push you into making a move you might regret? This tense moment happened during what started as a peaceful afternoon hike. A man was walking through the forest when he suddenly came across a bear standing alone. At first, fear hit him hard. But after watching the bear for a moment, it seemed calm, almost relaxed. Against his better judgment, he slowly moved closer, thinking the situation was under control. For a brief second, it felt like there was some strange, peaceful connection between them. Then everything changed.
Sometimes surprise me with their reckless behavior.
The bear suddenly roared and charged straight at him. Panic exploded instantly. Fear took over, and the man didn't hesitate. He turned and ran for his life as fast as he could. Now imagine being in that moment. Would you try to stay calm and hope the bear backs down? Or would your instincts kick in and make you run too? This scary moment happened while a woman was hiking alone on a forest trail. As she walked, she noticed a dark figure moving in the bushes ahead of her. Her heart dropped instantly. Unsure of what it was, she stopped and waited, trying to stay quiet so she could see it clearly. After a few tense seconds, the figure stepped out of the bushes and crossed the trail. That's when she realized it was a moose. Huge, silent, way too close. She immediately hid, barely daring to breathe, as the moose passed right in front of her and continued on its way. Only when it disappeared did she move again. Now imagine being in her place, alone and shaken after something like that. Would you continue hiking like nothing happened, or turn around and head back, knowing the forest just reminded you who really controls it? This creepy clip was shared by a Reddit user who thought she was in for just another calm hike along a lonely mountain trail. The afternoon was quiet, peaceful, until she noticed something that didn't feel right. Sitting on a twisted, creepy tree nearby was an owl, wide awake in broad daylight. And that's what made it unsettling. Owls aren't supposed to be active during the day. She tried to stay calm, even though panic was building inside her. The owl didn't attack or move. It just stared at her, silently, like it was watching her every move. Eventually, nothing happened, but the moment stuck with her. She later said she never wanted to experience that again in the forest. Because imagine if it had flown straight at her alone, no one around. Sometimes it's the quiet encounters that feel the most terrifying. This intense moment was shared by a Reddit user who thought he was heading out for a calm, peaceful hike through the forest. Everything felt normal until he stopped dead in his tracks. Sitting right on the trail ahead of him was a massive buffalo. It was huge, way bigger than he expected. Fear instantly filled his chest as the animal lifted its head and stared straight at him. No movement, no sound, just a silent face-off in the middle of the forest. He stayed still, trying to control his panic, knowing one wrong move could change everything. Luckily, the buffalo didn't charge. It just kept staring before eventually moving on. But imagine how differently that could have ended. Alone in the forest, with no one around to help. What if the buffalo had suddenly decided to charge? Sometimes, it only takes 1 second for a peaceful hike to turn into a nightmare. This terrifying moment was shared by a Reddit user who thought he was just enjoying another peaceful solo hike in the forest. Everything felt calm until he saw it. A massive grizzly bear walking straight toward him, completely alone on the trail. If you know anything about bears, you know they're unpredictable. On the outside, he stayed calm, but inside, panic was taking over. As the bear got closer, he knew he had only seconds to react. With shaking hands, he pulled out a can of pepper spray and sprayed it toward the bear's eyes. The bear immediately turned away and ran in the opposite direction, leaving him unharmed. But think about how close that came to disaster. What if he didn't have that spray? Alone in the forest, face to face with a grizzly. Sometimes survival comes down to a single item and a split-second decision. This terrifying moment happened to a group of men who were hiking deep in the forest. They were tired, exhausted, and relieved when they finally came across a waterfall. Seeing it as the perfect chance to cool off, they stepped into the water to freshen up. That's when everything changed.
Naik, woi! Naik, wah, balik itu daun! Itu daun itu! Woi, naik, 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 naik! Woi, itu daun, woi! Wow, 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 wow! Itu daun, woi! Naik, woi! Naik, wah, balik itu daun! Itu daun itu! Woi, naik, 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 naik!
One of them noticed movement near the rocks beside the waterfall. At first, he couldn't tell what it was. It looked almost human, but also reptilian. Something was off. He immediately warned the others. When they all turned to look, the figure slowly started moving out from under the rock toward them. Panic hit instantly. They were all shock and fear took over them all. Without waiting to find out what it really was, they jumped out of the water and ran for their lives. Now imagine being there with them. Would curiosity make you stay long enough to see what it was? Or would survival instinct force you to run too? This chilling moment happened to a man who went hiking and ended up still walking through the forest after nightfall. With only his flashlight lighting the way, everything felt quiet and uneasy. Then suddenly, the light caught something ahead of him. At first, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. In the distance, there appeared to be a group of figures gathered together like a meeting. Curious and confused, he slowly moved closer to confirm it. That's when he heard it. Laughter. Low, strange, and unsettling. The figures looked like witches, standing together in the darkness. Fear hit him all at once. His heart started racing, and every instinct screamed danger. Without thinking twice, he turned around and ran as fast as he could, not daring to look back. Now imagine being in his place. Would curiosity make you wait a little longer? Or would you run too? This unsettling moment happened while a woman was hiking alone at night. As she moved through the forest, she noticed an unidentifiable figure standing ahead of her. She couldn't tell what it was, but something about it felt wrong. Instead of running, she pulled out her phone and started recording. That's when it got worse. The figure seemed to realize it was being watched. Slowly, it stood up and began walking deeper into the forest. The way it moved was unnatural, stiff, awkward, almost wrong. Fear rushed through her body. On the outside, she stayed calm, but inside, panic was screaming. As she watched it disappear into the darkness, her imagination went wild. What exactly did she just see? And why did it feel aware of her? Now, imagine being there, completely alone in the dark. Would you keep recording, or would you turn around and leave immediately? Man hiking deep in the woods stumbled onto something strange. Tucked between the trees was the entrance to a cave, sealed shut with a heavy metal mesh gate. It looked old, like it hadn't been touched in years. But the reinforced barrier gave it a sense of purpose, as if it once had an important role. The cave sat far from any roads or towns, completely isolated. Some people think caves like this were used in the 20th century to hold people. Others believe they were part of hidden bunkers or secret research sites. There's even talk that it was designed specifically for containment. Still, no records exist to confirm any of it. Whatever this cave was meant for, its true purpose remains a mystery. A woman was walking home from the store when something in a nearby tree caught her eye. At first, she thought she was imagining it, but the longer she looked, the more unsettling it became.
Just got home from the store, and guess what I found? It looks like a finger, or maybe it's the tree. I don't know. What do you guys think?
A tree root twisted in such an odd way that it almost looked like a human finger reaching out. She shivered at the thought, her heart skipping a beat, even though she knew it was probably just a trick of nature. Still, it gave her pause, making her glance over her shoulder as she continued down the quiet street. It wasn't anything dangerous, just a weird, eerie shape, but in that moment, it felt strangely alive. After a long hike, a hiker returned to their car and realized a mountain lion was sitting just behind it. The area was completely isolated. No people, no other cars, nothing. Setting off the car alarm might scare the lion away, but it could just as easily provoke it. With no better options, the hiker kept their distance and waited, hoping the animal would eventually move on. That could take hours, and standing exposed like that didn't feel safe at all. What would you do in a situation like this? After 4 days of searching, deputies in Florida finally found a missing man deep in the woods, and for a while, it wasn't clear he would be found alive. The 72-year-old was reported missing on December 15th, triggering a silver alert and a large search effort. For days, there were no solid leads. Then, on December 19th, a citizen spotted an abandoned vehicle near North Old Dixie Highway. Deputies confirmed the car belonged to the missing man and began searching the surrounding woods. About 50 yards from the vehicle, they found him unconscious but still breathing.
61 flyer, hadn't been en route. Let's see, sir? He's not gonna be able to walk. Ready? Yeah, ready. 1, 2.
He was extremely weak and unable to move. Investigators believe he had fallen against a tree and become pinned there, which made it difficult for him to breathe. The area was hard to access, so deputies carefully carried him out of the woods and transported him to a location where medical crews could reach him.
Go around the door. Keep him on a recovery position, guys. Okay. Go around to the door and just pull him up. Yeah. Ready? Pull? Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Despite being without food or water for several days, he survived. Officials have not shared why he was in the woods. While in the woods, smoking behind the house, the boy and his girlfriend stood quietly, watching the trees. They had lived there for over 15 years, and nothing had ever felt strange. Then something moved. In the dark backyard, deep near the woods, a shape stood where no shape should be. The boy zoomed in with his phone and felt his stomach drop. The thing in the back looked tall and thin, like it didn't belong. His girlfriend pointed to another spot, marked by an arrow later. She whispered that it looked like a very cold man, frozen and waiting. Who or what was that? A hiker caught something unsettling on camera while trekking through the woods. The creature in the video crawled on all fours, completely hairless, moving in a way that felt wrong. It didn't look like any animal people were used to seeing. When a similar image surfaced online in 2019, the internet ran wild. Some claimed it was proof of mythical creatures like the skunk ape, or something even more sinister hiding in the forests. The real explanation, though, was far less mysterious, but just as disturbing. It was a black bear suffering from severe hair loss, likely caused by mange, or another serious skin disease. When bears lose their fur, they can't regulate body heat, grow weak, and often don't survive long in the wild. Still, it's easy to understand the panic. If you stumbled across a hairless, crawling figure like that in the woods, your mind would probably jump to something supernatural, too. Reddit user WorriedCoffee7574 went on a short cave exploration that was never meant to capture anything strange. At one point, their partner panicked after spotting a bunch of spiders and decided to leave the cave. The cameraman laughed it off and kept filming inside.
I don't blame them. Imagine how many people you can fit in here.
You go in here, look.
How am I going to fit through there?
Fuck that.
What? Seen all the spiders?
Near the end of the clip, though, everything changes. He suddenly jumps back, clearly startled by something. Later, he explained that he felt like someone was moving toward him, even though he didn't see or hear anything at the time. After they left the cave and watched the footage back, he noticed a strange sound that hadn't registered while he was inside. What makes it unsettling is the setting. No nearby roads, no other people, just deep woods. So what caused that feeling? Some commenters suggested it might have been a bear, wondering if they'd accidentally wandered into a den. But the Redditor quickly shut that down. There are no bears in the UK. So what was it? And why didn't he hear it when it happened? A group renting a cabin deep in the Appalachian woods had a really unsettling experience. Out of nowhere, a man appeared over a nearby hill and started walking straight toward the property. He didn't say a word. Even when they shone a light on him, he didn't react or acknowledge them at all.
Hey, so people of Appalachia, is this type of thing normal to see in the woods? I mean, we rented this cabin now. This guy kind of just came out of nowhere while we were grilling. He just walking up the hill, doing his thing, finding things like metal pots and pans and picking stuff out of the woods. Just let me know if there's like a normal type of thing to see, because we've never seen something like this before.
He looked like he was carrying a crowbar and slowly wandered around the property, picking up random objects without ever looking up. Afterward, the group was left asking themselves the same question. Is something like this normal in Appalachia? A man working for a cabin company was alone at one of their sites late at night. The top floor of the building was pitch black. Every single light was off. That's when something strange caught his attention. For just a moment, a light flickered in one of the side windows. Curious and uneasy, he pulled out his phone and zoomed in, trying to see what caused it. What he saw made his stomach drop. Standing in the window was a dark, humanoid-shaped shadow, completely still, facing directly toward him. That didn't make any sense. He was supposed to be the only person there. Nervous but needing answers, he went upstairs to check it out. He searched every room, every corner of the floor, but no one was there. No forced entry. No signs anyone else had been inside at all. While hiking along a quiet forest trail in Rocky Knob, Michaud State Forest, one hiker suddenly came face to face with a threat he never expected. Stretching across the path was a massive rattlesnake, gliding casually over the ground as if it owned the entire trail. Its scales shimmered in the light, and the slow, deliberate movements made the moment even more unsettling. One wrong step, and he could have been within striking distance of a venomous bite. The forest went silent, every sound drowned out by the tension in the air. He stood frozen, waiting for the snake to move on before continuing. Encounters like this remind every hiker, out here, that danger can appear right under your next step. Johan was hiking along a forest trail in the Netherlands with a friend when something unexpected happened. Out of nowhere, a wolf appeared behind them. It slowly came closer and even walked alongside them for a short stretch of the trail.
De wolf, hij loopt achter mij. Hij loopt met ons met. Ik weet niet waar hij naartoe wil. Nou, kijk, waar is hij? Even kijken. Ja, ik denk, ik weet niet waar hij is. Ah, daar is hij.
The moment was tense, but it didn't last long. After a brief pause, the wolf turned around and quietly slipped back into the forest. No one was hurt, and once the shock wore off, the two friends were able to continue their walk without any further trouble. Back in 2021, a Reddit user took a trip to Willow Creek, California, a place already known for its long history of Bigfoot sightings. While hiking through the area, they snapped a photo that immediately raised eyebrows. Near the tree line stood a dark, human-shaped figure that didn't seem to belong there. Some people were quick to say it was Bigfoot. Others brushed it off, saying it was just shadows and lighting playing tricks on the camera. But the person who took the photo wasn't convinced. They insisted the shape didn't line up with any nearby trees, branches, or objects. Whatever it was, it didn't feel accidental. So the question remains, what did they really capture out there in the woods? While out on a hike, a Reddit user stumbled upon something bizarre. An entire hillside blanketed with garden gnomes, each one meticulously positioned and all staring in nearly the same direction. The discovery went viral, sparking thousands of guesses about who put them there and why. But despite all the speculation, the mystery of their origin was never solved. While the couple was driving down a dark road, they noticed flashing lights ahead. A car had crashed near the trees, twisted and quiet. The husband slowed and took a picture, thinking nothing of it. Later, when they looked at the photo, something else was there. Near a tree stood a woman. She was too close to the wreck. Her head tilted wrong, her arms hanging like she forgot how to use them. Her eyes looked lost, staring past the road, past the couple. She didn't look hurt, just empty, like she woke up somewhere she didn't belong. The wife felt cold all over. No one at the scene remembered a woman like that. The picture stayed on the phone, and the woman stayed by the tree, watching them silently. 2 tourists vanished in the Utah desert in 2011. 8 years later, they were found. This is the story of Sarah and Andrew. They were a young couple from Colorado who just wanted a quiet weekend away. No climbing, no danger, just a tent, a camera, and the open desert. They drove into a lonely part of Utah filled with old, forgotten mines left behind long ago. Before leaving, Sarah texted her sister, saying they'd be back on Sunday. They never were. Years passed. Searches stopped. Hope faded. Then, in 2019, workers opened an abandoned mine. Inside, they found Sarah and Andrew sitting against the wall, side by side, like they were asleep. The mine had been sealed shut. Their legs were badly hurt, and there was no way out. A simple trip had turned into a terrifying mystery no one expected. While hiking alone on the res, a woman did what she always did. Walked the familiar trail and went live on her phone to share the view. The trees were quiet, and the wind barely moved. She talked softly, smiling, until something dark caught her eye between the trees.
Road, kind of. Wind is picking up. Yee, I know, right? My contacts are so dry, guys. I'm like constantly blinking. Kind of peeks out now and then. See, that's what I mean. It's fucking moving. Go check. I'm not checking. Y'all crazy for that. Does it look like it's walking closer to you? I have no idea. I'm just keeping it as steady as I can, guys. My hands is cold as hell. He's backing up slowly. See, guys, that's something. It's fucking moving. It's moving towards you. Don't say that. Love your vibe. Thank you. What is it? It's a skinwalker. Right fucking there. It's like, see, look, it's like fading out. Is it a ghost? What the is it?
It wasn't an animal. It wasn't moving like a person either. Just a tall, black shape standing too still, like it was watching her. Her heart started to pound. The comments on her live began to explode. Some people joked. Others warned her to leave. One person typed that it might just be another hiker. But the figure never waved, never spoke. It only stayed there, half hidden, as if it didn't want to be seen. So what was it really? Just a person on the trail? Or something pretending to be one? This trail camera captured something no one was ready to see. It was set up at his old grandparents' house, a place that had been empty since they both passed away. The house sat quietly, slowly falling apart, with trees growing too close. Every time the camera sensed movement, it snapped 3 pictures in a row. Most of the time, nothing showed up. But one night, something was different. In only one of the 3 photos, a strange figure appeared near the house. It looked stiff and lifeless, like it shouldn't be moving at all. In the next photo, it was gone. The air around the house felt wrong, like it was watching. No animals were caught on camera. No people were nearby. Whatever it was, it showed up once, and then disappeared, leaving behind a cold, uneasy feeling no one could explain. While hiking, this woman walked along a quiet trail, enjoying the sound of her boots on the dirt and the wind in the trees. She stopped to rest when she noticed a dark cave hidden between rocks. Curious, she lifted her phone and began recording the area around her. The cave looked empty at first, just a black hole in the stone. Then she froze. Deep inside the darkness, something didn't move. It didn't blink. A pale face was there, barely visible, just staring straight at her. No sound came from the cave. No footsteps. No breathing. Her hand started to shake as the face stayed perfectly still, watching her, like it had been waiting. She backed away slowly, heart pounding, wondering if the cave had always been watching, or if it had only just noticed her. For weeks, something strange had been bothering the farm. The animals were restless, and the nights felt too quiet. The man felt like someone was watching him, even when no one was there. Every step outside made his skin prickle. One night, he decided to face the feeling. He walked out past the fence with his phone and started recording. The moon was thin, and the woods stood dark and still. Then he saw them.
So this frickin' thing, it's staring at me. It followed me home from the gifting rock. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning right now. I think I don't know what to do. But it followed me home, and it is absolutely staring at me right now.
2 eyes glowed between the trees. They didn't blink. They didn't move. They just stared. He tried to stay calm, but his hands shook. The eyes followed every step, as if they knew him. The wind stopped. The farm went silent. Whatever was in the woods didn't come closer. But it didn't leave either yet. This woman's husband went camping with his friends when they were teenagers. One night, someone snapped a photo on an old film camera. In the picture, her husband and 2 friends are kneeling on the ground, laughing, tired, and muddy. But something is wrong. Behind them, where the trees fade into darkness, there is a shape that does not belong. One boy has his arms folded behind him, like he is being watched, yet no one is there. Years later, the woman shared the photo on Facebook. The medium grew quiet and said many spirits were standing close, circling them. She said the forest remembered that night. When the woman looks at the photo now, she feels cold. It seems like something is still there, waiting in the dark. This terrifying moment happened while a woman was hiking, as night slowly fell over the trail. From a distance, she noticed something standing in the middle of the road, but she brushed it off and kept walking as she got closer and shone her flashlight ahead. Her heart dropped. Standing there was a man, alone, motionless. In the middle of the road, fear instantly took over. The figure looked like an ancient monk, staring straight at her with an expression that sent chills through her body. The second their eyes met, panic hit. She turned around and ran as fast as she could. Then she heard footsteps behind her. The figure was chasing her. Now imagine being in that situation, alone in the dark with nowhere to hide. Would you stop and confront whatever it was, or trust your instincts and run without looking back? A mother and her children were walking near the woods when they suddenly heard loud footsteps behind the trees. They froze. Between the dark trunks, a huge shadowy figure appeared.
Oh, come on inside! Carly!
Its arms looked very long, almost like tree branches, and it moved slowly, watching them. The mother felt her heart race and pulled them away as fast as she could. Later, people online said it was just someone in a big costume scaring others. But the family still isn't sure what they really saw that night. So what do you think? Was it fake or real? While exploring the dense Oregon woods, a group of friends noticed something strange moving between the trees.
Hey, look, there's a treehouse.
Is that somebody on the property?
Where? I don't see
Right
it.
there. Right there.
I don't see it.
Is that? Who is that?
We need to go from a pop-up. Maybe it's those tweakers.
He is down on his knees.
What?
He is where.
At first, it seemed like just a shadow, but then it became clear that it was a tall, black figure, standing completely still, watching them. The air grew, colder, and the usual forest sounds seemed to vanish. Every step they took felt heavier, as if the darkness itself was following them. Heart pounding, they called out. But there was no answer, only silence. When they finally gathered the courage to look back, the figure was gone, vanished without a trace. Nothing in the woods explained what they had seen. Shivers ran down their spines as they hurried home, wondering if the shadowy figure was real, or if the forest had simply played a trick on them. While exploring the dark, twisting tunnels of a cave, they crept carefully, their flashlights barely cutting through the shadows. The air was damp and heavy, echoing every drip of water. Suddenly, something moved. A long, pale creature slithered near the rocks, its skin slick and shiny in the faint light.
Okay, Owen. Owen.
Okay. Run.
At first, they froze, hearts pounding. Was it a cave worm, some monster from a story? Its eyes seemed almost human, staring straight at them. A chill ran down their spines. One of them whispered a guess, reading a comment later online. It was a Japanese cave salamander. But in that moment, it didn't matter what it was. The sight alone was terrifying, unexpected, and unreal. Something straight out of a nightmare lurking in the shadows. A lone hiker ventured deep into the thick forest, surrounded only by silence and towering trees. But that peaceful calm was shattered in an instant, and a massive bear emerged from the shadows. With no time to run, his heart pounded as he dropped to the ground, pretending to be lifeless. The creature circled him slowly, its heavy breath brushing against his skin. Then came a nudge on his foot, a test. Every second felt like an eternity. Finally, the bear turned and disappeared into the woods, leaving him trembling in fear. He survived, but the memory still haunts him. While hiking up the steep mountain trail, he stopped to catch his breath. The wind howled through the rocks, and the forest below looked tiny and far away. As he raised his camera to snap a photo, something strange caught his eye. Halfway up the cliff face, clinging to the jagged rocks, was a dark, twisted figure. It didn't move like a person. It hung there, almost floating, its eyes glinting in the sunlight. His heart pounded as he blinked, hoping it was a trick of the light. But it stayed, staring. Every instinct screamed at him to run, yet his legs froze. He snapped the photo, hands shaking, feeling its gaze burn into him, knowing he had just captured something that shouldn't exist. This unsettling moment happened while a hiker was heading back along the trail. The forest was quiet when he suddenly noticed a strange figure ahead of him, tall, thin, and moving slowly near the path. Fear hit him instantly, but he forced himself to stay calm, knowing he was completely alone. He raised his flashlight, and the beam reflected off the figure. The second the light touched it, the figure quickly slipped back into the bushes and disappeared. That only made things worse. His mind raced with questions about what he had just seen and where it went. The trail no longer felt safe, but curiosity tugged at him too. Now imagine being there, standing in the dark with nothing but your flashlight and your thoughts. Would you follow whatever just vanished into the bushes, chasing the thrill of adventure? Or stick to the trail and get out of there as fast as possible? Now, drop a comment with the scariest thing that's ever happened to you outdoors. And if these clips genuinely creeped you out, hit like. Subscribe too, because your story might end up in the next compilation.